A drop of water. The sun rose like a burning coin over the cracked horizon. Heat waves danced across the empty fields where crops once grew. The earth groaned beneath the weight of drought. No birds sang. No wind whispered. Only silence, dry, endless, cruel. In a small forgotten village named Surya, a boy of 12 named Smoke stood outside his hut, clutching an old clay pot. Inside that pot shimmered something small, fragile, and precious without. To anyone else, it was nothing. To Aarav, it was everything. The drought had lasted 3 years. Rivers had turned into ribbons of dust. Wells were nothing but empty holes echoing the sound of hopelessness. Families had begun to leave the village, carrying their belongings and their despair toward lands they hoped still remembered the rain. But Aarav's mother, Mira, was too weak to travel. Her breath came in shallow gasps, her lips dry and cracked. Every evening, she would whisper to her son, "Aarav, remember, even a single drop of water can give life. Never stop believing in it." Those words stayed in his heart like an ember refusing to die. So every morning, Aarav would walk to the old well at the edge of the village, not because he expected water, but because hope demanded it. On the 12th morning, as he looked down into the pit, he saw it, one tiny drop glistening on the edge of stone. It slid slowly into the clay pot he carried. He smiled. "One drop," he whispered, "but it's a start." That evening, the villagers gathered under the banyan tree to discuss leaving the village for good. Their faces were thin, their voices tired. "There's no future here," said the village elder. "The gods have abandoned us," another man muttered. But Aarav stepped forward, holding the pot high. "If the gods have forgotten us, I will remind them. I'll take this drop to the mountain of clouds and ask the sky to remember." The people laughed. "A child will bring rain? Foolish boy." But his mother looked at him with trembling pride. "Go, my son," she said softly. "The sky listens to hearts that believe." The next morning, before the first light, Aarav began his journey. The land stretched before him, a wasteland of dust and stone. His bare feet burned, but he kept walking. Each step felt heavier than the last. The clay pot swung gently at his side. He could hear the faint slosh of a single drop inside. That sound was his heartbeat. By noon, his throat felt like sandpaper. The wind scorched his skin. "Still," he whispered to himself. "For the village, for mother. Keep walking." He passed through what used to be a forest, now only black stumps and shadows. He saw bones of animals half buried in dust. The world felt dead. But when he looked up, he saw clouds far in the distance, faint gray, waiting. And he walked toward them. At dusk, when exhaustion was about to claim him, Aarav saw something impossible. A lone tree standing in the wasteland, its branches dry but still upright. Beneath it sat an old man wrapped in white cloth, his eyes calm and shining. The old man listened silently, then smiled. "The mountain of clouds lies beyond the horizon. But remember, the sky gives water only to those who offer their heart, not their hands." The old man's eyes glimmered. "When you find the mountain, you'll understand." Aarav blinked, and suddenly the man was gone. In his place, a small green sprout pushed through the dust. Aarav touched it gently, alive, real, growing. He smiled through tears. "Thank you," he whispered, and continued his journey. After 3 days of walking, he reached it, a towering mountain rising into the heavens, its peak hidden behind swirling gray mist. Thunder rolled softly above. The air smelled faintly of rain, though none had fallen in years. When he finally reached the summit, he could see everything. His village far below, a patch of dust and sorrow, surrounded by endless plains. He fell to his knees, lifted the clay pot with both hands, and shouted into the sky, "Oh sky, I have nothing left but this drop, the last drop my village has. If you still have mercy, take it. Let it remind you that we're still here. We still believe." Then he tilted the pot. The drop fell. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. The air was still. The clouds above shimmered faintly, then darkened, twisting and swirling like giants awakening from a long sleep. Aarav gasped as wind rushed around him, cool and fierce. And then, With a blinding flash of light, the first raindrop fell. Rain poured down, first gently, then with unstoppable force. Aarav laughed and cried at once, lifting his face to the heavens. His hair and clothes were soaked. The clay pot slipped from his hands and shattered on the stones, but he didn't care. Its purpose was fulfilled. The mountain turned alive, waterfalls bursting from rocks, streams racing downhill, rivers reborn. The parched earth drank greedily. Below, far away in Surya, people looked up in disbelief as raindrops began to fall from the sky. They ran out of their huts, laughing, shouting, dancing. Children jumped into puddles. Women cried tears of joy. The wells began to fill again, and Mira, lying weakly on her bed, smiled through the rain dripping from the roof. Days later, Aarav descended the mountain. The world around him had changed, green shoots breaking through soil, streams whispering beside the path. Birds sang again. When he reached the village, the people gathered around him. No one laughed now. They bowed, calling him Rainbringer, child of the sky. But Aarav shook his head. It wasn't me. It was faith. It was one drop that believed it could become a river. He ran into his mother's arms, and for the first time in years, they drank cool, clean water together. Many seasons passed. The drought never returned. The village of Surya became known far and wide as the place where hope touched the heavens. Travelers would ask, what saved this land? And the elders would smile and tell the story. Once there was a boy who carried a single drop of water into the sky and brought back a sea. At the edge of the village stood a small stone monument, carved with simple words. Even the smallest act of faith can awaken the greatest miracles. Hope, like water, begins with a single drop, but once it falls, it can change the world.